Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 889 for the 31st of July. And we're gonna the frontline changes has already been out on the main channel. So and there's still more frontline changes after the frontline changes report, mainly to over at the Bakhmut front and at Vasile over in at the FK front. So we go to the Zosneve first. The Zosneve is actually this part of Chasifia. So this neighborhood here of Chasifia, this is Zosneve. And the Russian forces have been geolocated in another incursion, this time round further north. So previously, based on the geolocation, we have this already, where the Russians cross the canal. Now we have another one over at this location. So Russian forces have now starting to threatened Chasifia on the western bank of the canal right now. So this is the frontline change over at this area here. And the next frontline change is over at the DFK front, over at Vasile. As mentioned previously, I have in the frontline changes report, I suspect that this town has been captured by the Russian forces. We have no full confirmation of that yet, but this latest geolocation do suggest that the Russians have captured more than half of Vasile right now. So this right in the center, leaving just a little bit left. I think the Russians will probably just walk through pretty quickly. So that's all from the frontline changes report. Then we go into the strategy and tactical reporting. We go into the Kharkiv front. So over the Kharkiv front, as usual, we have the various sector, Lipsy, Staresia, and the Voschan sector. And over the Lipsy sector, there is the fighting at Klipoke basically have died down. We didn't really hear much about it now. So Russian forces are attacking towards Lipsy. Geolocation of Russian airstrike on Ukrainian forces in the Dacha region continues. I've really lost count how many airstrikes has been struck on this Dacha region, so we shall continue to see how this goes. Over at the Voschan, Staresia region, Russian forces are still reportedly attacking in the Staresia region. No news regarding what is happening. Over the Voschans region, we have fighting reported in the Voschans as well as in Taike. Ukrainian forces geolocated in a new position, showing that the Ukrainians actually have a slightly more advanced position over in the eastern outskirts of Voschans. However, there is an airstrike on the Ukrainians just southwest of this industrial zone. So situation remains largely the same over at this Voschans region. Technically, you can even call it a stalemate at this moment. So, moving on from the Voschans region, there is no other weird incursions in Sumy or the far reaches of Kharkiv front. We go into the Kupiansk front. At the Kupiansk front, over at this Sinkivka sector, Russian forces are attacking in Sinkivka, with Russian forces not allegedly, they are caught on video attacking a new position, but it's not a firm capture. We do not know what is the firm result, so we just put it as an overlapping mapping here. Whereas in Petropolivka, there is a glide bomb strike. Then there is another FPV drone strike in Sinkivka, and then another artillery strike probably inside Sinkivka. So a lot of strikes all around the places. There's probably a lot more which I didn't map it in. So basically this is how it is over this sector of the Kupiansk front. But we've moved into the eastern side. There's a lot more actions around here. Russian forces are attacking at Stepova, Novoselivka, Tabaivka, at Pishani, towards Novosilnove, towards Kolesnivkivka, as well as Berestove. So this area here is a lot more activated than the Sinkivka region, and I got a strong feeling that the Russians are very intent on doing this, and particularly ending the use of the crossing over at Senkove and Krylyakivka. So this will then break the front line permanently apart between the Kupiansk front and the Svatove front. So we shall see how this develop, because the intel drop from this area is very slow. Usually we don't have much information about this place 1 week, 2 weeks on end. So we shall see how this goes. There's no more updates since the capture of Pishani. Over at the Svetove front, we have also this area have a lot of fighting. fighting at Stemerkiivka, Andriivka. Towards Novoserhievka, Ukrainians attack Serhievka. And particularly at the Serhievka region, there is major frontline change with Ukrainian forces geolocated basically just off Serhievka. This confirms Ukrainian mapping. So Ukrainians have this entire forest region. So the Russian mapping has been invalidated, at least in the forest part. So this one has already covered in the frontline changes report. In the Crimea front, there is fighting reported at Mykievka, Nevsky. This is Novosadove, yeah, Novosadove, Terny, as well as within the Serbiansky forestry. So this is a strategic situation. Largely the situation here is stalemate-ish. So not much major progress from both sides. And we move into the Sivers front. At the Sivers front, Russian forces continue their offensive in the Sivers region with fighting reported at Verkhnokanyamsky, Ivano-Darivka, Vimka, and Perezny. So that's the situation. There is a Russian airstrike geolocated in Verkhnokanyamsky. So confirming Ukrainian presence in the village. So this is the situation. Not much updates around here yet. Over at the Bakhmut front. So at the Bakhmut front, we have fighting reported mainly in the central part. The entire northern flank suddenly went quiet, and now the concentration is all in the center. So in this center region. So Russian forces are attacking in the Kalinina region through the forest in the Olovo track and towards Sneve. The frontline change, the minute frontline changes I've already shown you as the Russians tried to cross over the canal, and generally the fighting is towards Chasivya. There is also fighting reported in the region of Ivaniske, but we do not know where the vector of attack is. In the southern flank, we have fighting reported at Andriivka and towards Bilohora. And that's about it. Very, very vague information that we have in this sector. Moving into the New York front. At the New York front, in the Torex sector, we still have the usual Russian forces attacking at Druzhba, Pivnishne towards Torex, and in Zalizne region. In particular, we have a developing situation around this particular castle. So at this castle region, Russian forces have been geolocated in both flanks as the Russian forces moving around this hill, and the looks of it to me is that the Russians are not going to storm upwards, but they're going to go around it and encircle it and basically cut off the retreat. And this will force the Ukrainian forces defending on this so-called castle to make a decision to stay and fight to the death, or should they retreat. I think this probably will spare a lot more Russian soldier lives by doing the encirclement and force the Ukrainians into making difficult decisions rather than them storming up the hill and then get shot in the process, because fighting for a hill is always very, very difficult. So that's the current situation over in the Zalizne region. The Russian Defense Ministry have announced the capture of Pivdene after quite some time. We have declared the capture of Pivdene since the 21st of July. So this around 1 week off. Over at the New York front, we have fighting reported towards Pentelemonivka as well as in New York. Both sides have some frontline change. In particular, if you look at the New York situation, Russian forces has now attacked into the main artery, one of this main road leading towards the western direction. This main road, the Russians have now cut it. So the Russians can continue to fight towards the fire station and continue northward and avoiding fighting within the industrial zone. There is a possibility. Encircling it without needing to fight it and then just bombard it, TOS want it. I think that would probably be more efficient in terms of manpower. The railway station and the major industrial zone is still under Ukrainian control. Ukrainian forces also probably have the entire line of this settlement around here in the northeastern part. So I think there's a name for this. Oh no, this is just New York. Okay, so that's the current strategic situation with the Russian forces having this posture. The main push is only in this region. The other side seem to be pretty quiet. as the Russians continue to focus on consolidating their position westward in the area where the Ukrainians have largely retreated. So that's the New York situation. Over at towards the Pentamelanivka, as mentioned, the Russian forces has been securing the grounds that the Ukrainians have unable to defend, and they have now expanded to basically near the edge of Pentamelanivka, and very soon they will be able to jump into the forest and go through the forest and reach Pentamelanivka and then do the fighting around there. So we shall see whether the Ukrainians are actively defending this area strongly or not. Tentatively, I'm not so sure. The fighters defending this area must be super stressful, because this seems to be really upfront at the front line, and yeah, battles are waiting for them. So over at the Adivka front. So in case you do not know, this is Adivka city, and now the Adivka front has extended way away from Adivka, and it's now closer to Pokrov than at Adivka right now. So we are almost there to call this Pokrov front. I'm still a bit not yet ready to just change the name, because there are still other parts that is like this area here, not exactly Pokrovish, and not here as well. So tentatively, I'm still gonna keep this as the Adivka front for now. Worst case scenario is we will absorb this Adivka front back to the Donetsk front. So because Adivka front used to be part of the Donetsk front, I just spin it out as a separate front, so that it's easier to talk about it. But if this continues, then probably the entire region is going to go back to part of the Donetsk front, and then we just call them as sectors. So so we shall see how this goes. Anyway, over in the northern flank, you can see it's getting very, very fat. Okay, I just do this. So I ignore the Pokrov direction first. So in the real northern flank, Russian forces have launched some new attacks. So there's now fighting reported at Arkhangelsk, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. There is still harassment over at Kalinove. There's now fighting reported towards Zelenipol and Novoalexandrivka, Vodizenka, Timofeyevka and Lysychnaya. Of course, there's still more fighting west of Pokrev. In this area here of significance, the Ukrainian mapping have declared Timofeyevka captured by the Russian forces. So Timofeyevka has fallen as per predicted, because it's a very, very small settlement, and the Ukrainians do not have very good defensive position in that position to hold back the Russians. So the Russians are now seemingly launching new attacks. Zelenopol is also reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, so it's Novoalexandrivka. So it looks like there might be some kind of a new push northward by the Russians in this area here. There might be this northward push. We shall continue to monitor and see if there is frontline changes to reflect this reality, or is there any consistent pressure in this direction. So if not, it's a bit hard to imagine, hard to tell right now, because the main direction currently the Russians are pushing is along the railway line moving towards Pokrov. So Pokrov is around here. So yeah, that's the current trend that the Russians seems to be pushing. So over at the Pokrov direction, other than of course the capture of Timofeyevka, Russian forces attack at Lysychnaya, Ivanivka, Vesely, Serhievka, Zeleny, and south of what's this place? Voshev. And of course there is some reports about fighting towards Khodivka. So this is the current configuration right now in terms of the strategic situation in this area. Russian forces have made quite a number of progress. Of course, the capture of Timofeyevka, and Vesely is now on the verge of capture. Russian forces is creating new angles of attack towards Ivanivka, as mentioned in the frontline changes report. The entire southern part of Voshev has been secured, as the Russians are now looking to clear up this entire ground around here, so that they can actually launch another attack in the different direction on Zeleny. So Russian forces still are progressing downwards, progressing down the railway line very quickly, and they now have a new vector of attack for Zeleny. So they now can attack from two different directions. I suspect that the Russians may create a new one by taking this junction here and create another direction of attack. I think this is possible. And the Russians are trying to take this junction. They probably will cross over and then have two vectors of attack on Serhievka. So the Russians are really moving very quickly around this region, and the Ukrainians doesn't seem to be able to find time to entrench. So that is the current situation around in this area here. Over in the southern flank of the Avdiivka front, there's just fighting reported. It's just Novorodivka and Kharkivka, but no, that's about it. We move into the Donetsk front. In Krasnohorivka, there's still fighting reported in this battle. The Ukrainian mapping have acknowledged the Russian presence in all of the southern part of Krasnohorivka. So Russian forces have now confirmed to have cleared out the entire region and secured the entire highway towards Marinka. So that is significant in that sense. Further south, over in the Konstantinivka sector, Russian forces is now making this major push south from Boyeda direction. They are now pushing in this direction, and the Ukrainian forces seems to be now stranded in some kind of a salient in this Paraskovivka region. And if the Russians continue to push, if they threaten to close this, the Ukrainians will be forced into a major withdrawal. And the Russians are already putting pressure on Konstantinivka in the west and from the south as well, while the Russians are also still pushing towards the highway to try to cut it. So that is the current configuration. Russian forces geolocated in Russian controlled regions, so nothing particularly special, whereas the Ukrainian south of Katarinivka. So there's a lot more front geolocations which I didn't map it in because they are rather meaningless to the strategic situation that we are now trying to understand. So, and south of the Konstantinivka towards the Vodian, so I will probably call this the Vodian sector, Russian forces have secured more grounds in the north of Mikhailsky as well as south of Konstantinivka. And the Ukrainians have retaken this fully after the Russians' death charge towards Vodian has failed, and everyone died in that process. So we are seeing this entire highway region very, very threatened. So one point is over just in the area of Konstantinivka, another one is over here along this gully, another one along this tree line where the Russians are also pushing. We have another one along this heavy entrenchment west of Vodian. We're probably going to see another one just southeast of Vodian. So there is a lot of junctions, a lot of vector of attack where the Russians may be pushing, and all of them may hit all at the same time. And the Ukrainians will not be able to deal with, and the entire line here will collapse. And then I'm not sure how the Ukrainians going to fight on. Are they going to continue to grind like what they have been doing around this sector? Over here in the Vodian region, I'm not so sure, because it is very, very hard to fight this kind of battle for both sides. So let's see whether Ukrainian logistics can deal with it. 1,500 kilogram glide bomb has struck Vodian in the coal mine. So, but that's about it. Some geolocation of strikes in Preshestivka of air strike and guided helicopter strikes. So Preshestivka is a bit interesting. The number of strikes on this settlement is a lot. I wonder if there's a major Ukrainian base around here that is attracting all this strike, because logistically we can see that there is a highway. There's a highway leading to it, as well as there's a road moving northward towards Novo-Ukrainka. And lead, of course, all the way to the another operational HQ. So this area here getting attracting a lot of strikes might suggest that this is actually a forward operating base. So we shall see how it goes. Over in the Velika Novosilka sector, Russian forces has now activated in this area here right now. We have the geolocation of Russian forces pushing east of Uruzaine, of course fighting in this region, fighting towards Makarivka in the Staromayorsky region, towards Starozeve, towards Velika Novosilka, and towards Rivnopil. So there's a lot of report of fighting around here. They use different settlements as the marker. So that's why the arrow looks out of place, is floating. But we can see that no, when we put everything together, it does look like the Russians are making very serious push in this area here right now. So maybe they have rested enough after the capture of Staromenski and Uruzhaine, so now they have reactivated the offensive. So let's wait and see how this develops. That over in the Zaporizhia front at the Huaypole Zalizny region, there is some fighting reported in this area here. As mentioned in previous situation report, the Russians have actually changed the configuration. So this Huaypole sector has been given to the Vostok group of forces, whereas the Dnieper group of forces without Huaypole is now focusing on Kayamsky and Orkhiv sector. So this area here is still under Vostok group of forces. I believe this operation around here is just a distraction to help out with the Dnieper group of forces, where they're going to do some major push. The real push is around here in this part, the Orkhiv sector and the Kayamsky sector. So these are the sectors. So Russian forces are attacking in Luhansk, Malatomashka, Robotine region towards Novodanilivka, towards Novoandreevka, Kayamsky, Lokove, as well as Kayamsky. So you can see that the fighting, there is a lot of places that is being mentioned in the fighting, and this is over 24 hours. So we will have to, is it 24 hours or is it more? Sorry, 2 days, over 2 days, 30th to 31st. So yeah, I need to update this. So 8 and 9. Yeah, this is over 2 days. So which means I also should update this as well. Or maybe this is misleading. So yeah, it should be like this. So this is the SITREP over 2 days. So I was wrong in the beginning because I accidentally changed this when I reported the frontline changes report. So this is the current this over 2 days. You can see that the number of places that the Russians are pushing, and what it looks like is that over the Orkhiv sector, there is this pincer that is developing, and they may be heading for this road. They are trying to take out Malatomashka as a strong point. They are trying to straighten the front line around Robotine. So this looks like what is currently happening right now. In the Kayamsky sector is a bit weird. Of course, there's this push over Kayamsky. They are attacking both Petikaki and Lokove, the two settlements that is next to Zerebianki that is under Russian control. So it looks like they are also trying to straighten this line. If the Russians capture Lokove and Petikaki, they basically more or less have retaken all the grounds in the Kayamsky sector that they have lost to the Ukrainians during the Ukrainian counteroffensive. So that's about it from this area here. Over at the Kherson front, there is only shelling reported at Tiahinka. There's a geolocation of a strike on the alleged drone depot for the Baba Yaga. And then there is geolocation of Russian forces getting hit in Kozachi Lehiri, and there is still alleged fighting in the Prinidiprovsk direction by the Russian forces against Ukrainian beachheads. So that's about it in the Kherson front as well. So that's it. So this is there's one more geolocation. There's a radar station or radar equipment in the region of Poliana and Polina, and this was destroyed by a missile strike, probably Iskander. So that's about it. So this is the summary for the day of 888 to 889 for the 30th to 31st of July. I thought it was only 31st. So yeah, that is my mistake. So anyway, thank you for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next update.